Can you get a flag?
Oh, we can just skip it. All right, at 7 o'clock, I'll call this meeting to order. We have a quorum with all of our current members. We are going to skip on the pledge since there is no flag in this meeting room. I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from July 2nd, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Any corrections or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. One thing on the agenda, we have a public hearing tonight. Super crowded room, guys. We need to open the public hearing.
Yeah, you can do that.
Oh, yeah. All right, welcome to tonight's special inland wetlands meeting. I'm the chairman, Rebecca Davis. Explain the format of this meeting for all of the people in here. I'm gonna make this super short. This public hearing is for 127 Bridge Street. My legal notice is East Windsor Inland Wetland Watercourse Agency is holding a special meeting, including a public hearing on Wednesday, August 20th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Details regarding how to attend will be published on the IWWA Commission's agenda and will be made available on the town's website. IWWA 11-2025 for 127 Bridge Street, construction of a stormwater basin for a mixed-use development, multifamily and commercial, located partially in a regulated wetlands and upland review area. Owner applicant, estate of Joseph Latta Jr., NRT Realty LLC, Robert Trigg, map block lot 111-12-009. Full copy of the application is available on the IWWA's website and the town's. All interested persons may attend this meeting and provide written or verbal comments regarding this application. Okay, don't need to read the address and map block lot again. Applicant will present the application to us in detail, which will allow the commission members and the public a better opportunity to understand what is being proposed. Commission members may ask questions during the presentation, and then any members of the public can speak. Let's begin. Tonight we are holding a public hearing. Everything I just said at this time, we will hear the application presentation.
Any motion to open? Or
Make a
no?
motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
One of us.
Aye.
Aye. Under the bridge.
The floor is yours. Whoever's going.
Thank you. Good evening. For the record, J. Ursary, J.R. Russo and
I'm
Associates.
sorry, 1 second. Do we have, is that
It's just a recording.
It's just
just
for-
recorded? There's no
There's
public.
no public,
Yeah.
just the recording tonight, just for us for
They're not set up yet
meeting
for
notes.
the whole Zoom thing, so.
Okay. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay. Again, J. Ursary, J.R. Russo and Associates here representing the applicant. My partner Dana Steele is here, who was involved with the design of this project. Bob Trigg, the developer, is also here, and the applicant. And we're here to talk to you about a proposed development here at 127 Bridge, former site of a project that you saw back in 2007 and 2008. Some of you were here then, and we won't talk about who was or wasn't. Some of us are older than others. But I was here, and Dana Steele was also involved. He did the design on that project as well, which was approved by this commission, and Bob Trigg, again, was the developer in that project. So we're back with something a little different this time. We're looking at a mixed-use development, combination of some retail, office space, which would be up in the front, and some multifamily to the rear. So with that said, let me, let's take a look at. This is a plan that's actually not part of your set because it's a little bit oversized. And we've got it all on one sheet, and I think it's a little easier to look at. So if we take a look here at the bottom of the page, we have Bridge Street down here. We have a driveway coming into the development at this location. Immediately to the west, we've got a couple of residential properties. And down the hill just a little bit, we've got the firehouse. Gardner Street is right here. The boys' home is directly across the street from our driveway coming into the site. There are some wetlands obviously involved with the site. This is the blue ditch where it comes under Bridge Street right here, finds its way down along the western side. It's our property boundary on this side along the west. And then finds its way under Spring Street. There's a culvert here and it continues on its way southerly down to Holcomb Terrace, through Holcomb Pond, back under Main Street, back down behind the ball fields, Osborne Fields, and the treatment plant, under the highway and into the Connecticut River. So the wetlands that we're associated with here is the wetland that's associated with the ditch, which is over here. You can see the green line that Dana's got on here is the actual limit of the flagged wetland. And then your 150-foot regulated area comes up into here like this and then finds its way back around. There's another wetland associated with the agricultural field that's over here to the south and the east. And this is currently all in row crop. The flagged wetland is actually out in the field in the row crop area. There's a piece here and there's another piece that's over here and continues its way to the east. So based on this, we've got a couple of areas where we have some disturbance. There's a water quality basin that's located right up in this area, and it has an outlet, and there's a little bit of disturbance within the agricultural field right there that's associated with the outlet structure. And then, which is a little different from what you had, you've got a revised plan now that shows the Spring Street culvert. And in the application back in 07, 08, we were replacing culvert. Since we were with you last and submitted our initial application, you do have revised plans, you've got a revised drainage report. We met with the town engineer. We are again replacing the culvert on Spring Street. So there's a small amount of disturbance that's associated with that. I want to say it's about 50 square feet, Dan, I think, roughly. Boy, it's raining.
What?
Oh, purple. So here we are down at Spring Street, and what we really have here is we have a basin here, water quality basin, detention basin. It's got an outlet that finds its way down through the property, out to Spring Street, new catch basin in Spring Street, and it ties in to the new culvert down here at the ditch. And there is 50 square feet of wetland disturbance associated right on the edge of the roadway there where the blue ditch comes underneath of Spring Street. Over here at this location, where the water quality basin, detention basin is located, we have an outlet structure here. And we've got, let's see, the 580 square feet of wetland disturbance, which is right here. So we're just over 600 square feet in total of wetland disturbance that's associated with this drainage outlet and this drainage improvement, I guess, if you will, of the culvert. The existing culvert is it's an old stone culvert that was probably built, I'm guessing, once it was built. One side has somewhat of a head wall on it. The other side got a stone head wall. It's still there. Surprisingly, it's got sewer that runs under it. It's got water that runs over it. I'm assuming, or maybe they're both over.
Yeah,
They're both over the top. So we're going to replace that with a concrete box culvert, which is something I guess the town had wanted to see the last time we were here. So that will be a replacement here. So that's a basic overview of where we are in terms of disturbance. It's very little. This area here is disturbed every year and was this year. It's in row crop. I think it's in corn again this year, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I was over there a few weeks ago and it was corn. All of the field back here is planted. This area, just to point it out, is in row crop. And obviously it's a wetland area, but we're not developing that. So if this thing is approved and becomes built, this whole area is going to be seeded with a conservation mix. So it'll revert back probably to a wetland, eventually to some shrub scrub, and then probably into a forested wetland over 20 to 25 years. You'll start to see trees to come back. So it'll actually create a pretty nice wetland habitat back in this area, back in the corner. Dana is here. He can go over the drainage with you to talk a little bit about the drainage design, how it functions. What we've done in terms of providing decreases in peak flows, which is required in your zoning regulations, a little bit about water quality and a little bit about infiltration.
Thanks, Jay. For the record, Dana Steele, I'm a professional engineer with J.R. Russo and Associates, and Jay's already given an introduction. This is a map that I wanted to share with you. Printed out this afternoon from your town GIS, which includes topography. It gives a better overall picture of where this is in the big picture of stormwater for the site. If you look at this map, you'll see I've highlighted the parcel in yellow, and those brown squiggly lines in the middle are contour lines depicting the grades of the site. And what this map is indicating is that there's a ridge in the property that runs north and south, and so to the we were looking. These plans are oriented with north pointing down, but if we're looking at this with north pointing up, the area to the left of the ridge is what drains down towards the ditch, which is actually not the blue ditch. It's a tributary to the blue ditch. The blue ditch is shown on the map here. You see down below there's this blue line. It says blue ditch on it. And that comes up to a pond, which is just south of the cul-de-sac for Holcomb Terrace. So to the south of us is Spring Street, and then Holcomb Terrace, then this pond, and then this ditch that leaves the pond. That's the blue ditch. Our ditches runs under Spring Street, under Holcomb Terrace, and then connects into that ditch. So it's all interconnected. It's all part of the same network. But what this means is right now the site is really divided into 3 watersheds. We have to the left of that ridge, the western portion drains down to the ditch that goes under Spring Street, where we're replacing the culvert. Then to the right or the east of that ridge, all that flows to the south and runs onto the abutting property, runs through a swale here into that pond south of Holcomb Terrace, then the blue ditch, and on its way to the Connecticut River. So those are the 2 main watersheds, and then the third one is up along Bridge Street, where the farmhouses are and the barns and all the existing residences, and that all drains out to Bridge Street. Well, where does Bridge Street go? Well, Bridge Street drains to the west down the hill into a culvert under Bridge Street and into the ditch, the same ditch that we're draining to. So really, whether it's going to Bridge Street or it's going directly to ditch, it's all going to the ditch. So we have 3 watersheds. The first and the third all go to the ditch, and the second one drains to the pond behind Holcomb Terrace, which also goes to the ditch. So it's all heading to the same place. Obviously, it's all going to the Connecticut River. But when we design a site like this, what we want to do is maintain existing patterns, not change patterns. And that's what we've done with the design. That's why we don't have 1 basin, but we actually have 3 basins. So the first basin is this long linear basin, which is along the ditch that leads to Spring Street, and that's collecting everything that's to the west of the ridge in the site, and collects it, holds it, and lets it out slowly. And because of concerns, we know that residents here to the north of Spring Street were concerned about the ditch. The ditch has standing water in it most of the time, and they're concerned about flooding, concerned about that. The site is actually in a 100-year flood zone. What happens when the Connecticut River floods? It backs all the way up through this ditch and into this property. So the water backs up, and when the river is at its high point, There's nowhere for any of the water to go until it subsides, and then it settles back in and works normal. So during those extreme storm events, there is flooding in this area. We're not going to solve that because it's the Connecticut River, and we can't change the characteristics of the Connecticut River. But we are providing containment and reduction on our site so that the amount of water from our site that goes to this ditch, the peak rate of runoff is going to be significantly reduced. So the reduction to this part of the watershed is reduced between 50% and 75%. That's a significant reduction. It's not a lot of flow that's coming from our site. It's only like the 2-year storm's only like 4 CFS cubic feet per second, and we're going to be cutting it in half down to 2 CFS, which isn't a lot of flow, but it's part of what's contributing to this area. The total watershed to this ditch is over 40 acres, and so there's a lot of water draining to this area, which is why there's concerns about that. But we're going to be making it better by holding the water back and treating it. The other areas that goes to the pond behind Holcomb Terrace, we have 2 basins, and the reason why we did 2 is because the site's pretty flat, and in order to get pipes to get to one basin, the basin gets deeper, and then we have more wetlands disturbance because we have to daylight this pond somewhere. And even as it is, this second pond here has a little bit of disturbance in the area that is wetlands, but the disturbance is just temporary disturbance. It's really, I was talking to Jay about this afternoon. Really, it's like if you were going to do wetland mitigation, like create additional wetlands, this is what you would do. You would scrape it back and lower the grade a little bit, and that's all we're doing, so that this pond can daylight, can outlet. We're just scraping it back to this contour line here, so that the water can flow out and make its way where it wants to go. So a little bit of disturbance here, and then that was our initial application to you. When we submitted our revision, we added the 50 square feet of disturbance here because originally our idea was we're just going to tie into that existing culvert and let it be. But after talking with the town engineer, we agreed that wasn't a good idea, and it's just, if we're going to touch it, we need to replace it. So that's what we're doing. We're showing it being replaced, and so there's a little bit of disturbance on the south side of Spring Street. So that's the gist of it. I don't know, Jay, anything else I need to cover?
Oh, I think
that's water quality treatment. You could talk about that a little bit. You need to say something?
I think you've covered it pretty well. If you want to talk a little bit about the treatment, I think that's important. It's required, and maybe a little bit about the infiltration, which actually reduces flows. There are some A soils here in certain parts of this. It's pretty sandy, and we're taking what Dana's done is design some areas where we're taking the roof runoff, which is clean water, and we're bringing that back into the ground in some infiltration systems.
Yeah, so part of the stormwater design strategies is to try to get water back into the ground, so it's not running along the surface, it's below the ground. That's really going to minimize impacts downstream. It's going to provide the best type of treatment, the best type of protection of wetland resources. And so a portion of the site in the upper area here, in the top of the ridge, is sandy soils, so there can be some infiltration. However, the site's like a dome, like a football, kind of shaped like that, and so to build a site like this, we have to flatten it out, and so we're adjusting the grades a little bit. So we're going to have to take a look at these soils as we dig this and get down to see where are the suitable areas where we can put them. But we're proposing infiltration chambers, large chambers that go below the surface, and the roof runoff gets piped to that. Since the runoff is considered the cleanest of the runoff, in that way reducing volumes of runoff as well as the peak flow and treatment that the ponds are providing. So we do have infiltration throughout the site in the areas where soils are suitable. The treatment that we're using is a best management practice called a wet pond. What the wet pond does is it provides a pond with a permanent pool of water that doesn't drain unless it evaporates. So you have an outlet that's up higher, and then you dig the pond down deeper, and the water stays in the pond. And what that does is it provides a volume of retention. The water goes in, and while the water's sitting in there, it has a chance to settle out. The vegetation along the perimeter also takes up nutrients and pollutants and absorbs them. And so you have filtration and you have settlement occurring in these permanent pool areas, which I can't see on here, but these are the areas in blue here that I've highlighted. Those are the permanent pools, and they've been sized in accordance with state standards for stormwater design to provide treatment. DEEP has upped the ante on their design criteria. They want us to look not only at total suspended solids, which used to be the primary focus target of stormwater design. Now they want us to look at nitrogen removal, phosphorus removal. So it's gotten a little more sophisticated, but basically the approach is the same with these, except in this case, the original design, that the basins got a little bigger. We ended up raising the outlet, providing more volume of treatment, and that provides just a higher level of design. So the plans you approved before, these ones are even better. Because state has said, no, we want you to look at phosphorus and nitrogen now, which required us to have larger pools. And so we're going to have that that's included in our design. So we do have proper treatment for the water. We have infiltration for reducing volume, and we have detention for reducing peak flow. So we have a reduction between about 50% on these basins, 50 to 75% on this basin. And so I think overall it's a really good solution to this development opportunity. Last thing I would note is, although we have 630 square feet of wetlands disturbance, we have over 240,000 square feet of wetlands that are going to be enhanced by seeding them with a conservation seed mix, about 5.5 acres of I think improvements to the function and value of the wetlands. So basically, we're basically designed the site to stay away from the wetlands, to control where we discharge, make sure we're properly treated, and to improve overall. So I think what we're left with at the end is going to be better from an environmental standpoint than the active agricultural activities that are currently taking place. Think that covers it, Jay?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. We don't want to keep you here all night, though.
Any questions from the board?
Anybody want to go first?
Oh, I don't know. The only thing you are replacing the stone culvert on the Spring Street as
Yeah,
well?
it's a stone culvert. We were going to try to tie into it, but we thought, once we started looking at it closer, we're like,
No, you
this
got
thing's
it
gonna
right.
fall
You got
apart
it
if we
right
try
the
to
way
touch
you're
it.
Doing it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I just wanted to clarify. I think that's a much better design than it was originally.
Okay.
Hopefully we look back up as much.
Town engineer agreed with you.
I got one question. Last month. I think it was last month, but anyway, I asked about the stockpile of the topsoil. Near the wetlands.
You did. We showed a topsoil stockpile near the southeast corner, and you asked us to move it.
Yeah, or what you thought.
I think you're right, and I'm not sure that we did move it, because
I don't remember
I
that.
listened to that,
But it's a good point. We
It's only
know
on
that
paper.
we should move it.
huh?
It's only on paper so far.
And it didn't get in the minutes,
This is the
so
first I'm hearing about it.
I'm a little disappointed.
No, I remember it as soon as you brought it up. You did bring it. And it was an excellent point.
And the flood in 1936 was like a foot and a half, 2 foot on Main Street in where I was from.
On Main Street.
Yeah.
Yesterday was the anniversary of 1955.
Facebook.
Yeah.
That's the hurricane, which you
Really?
probably do remember. How
Oh, yeah,
I
I
did, I
delivered mail.
remember it.
I
And
was
that only took-
delivering
I
mail.
was born in 1955. I don't remember it, but
I was at camp in Winston at the time.
Oh, wow.
And it was really bad.
You
We
got
had to
plowed
climb the
yeah,
mountain.
then,
Oh, yeah.
Talking about this,
We worked for several
this
days.
stockpile area here.
Yes,
You'd like to see it further from the wetlands?
well, if you're gonna, when you get working the pile and piling it up, stuff's gonna drift they're gonna drive into the wetlands.
Yeah, that's why we have sediment barriers around it. We have a second layer of it along the wetlands. So I think it's protected. The reason for it here was to keep it out of the way. So
I
if we put
realize
it
that, yeah.
somewhere in the middle of the site, we just have to move it again. So I try to pick a spot that's going to be convenient. But what are your thoughts, Jay? What
I think we could,
better place
I think we
for
could
it?
slide it over a little bit to the
West.
west. Yeah, I'm upside down.
You
looking.
mean just like
Yeah,
10,
it's
15
upside
feet,
down.
kind of?
Maybe 10 or 15 or 20 feet to get
Would
a
that-
little more separation.
Yeah, well,
Does
I
that work
think
for
that'd
you?
be better, yes.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
gonna be-
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that wouldn't be a
level
problem.
there, isn't it?
Hmm?
That's relatively level where you put. the
Yes, it is.
topsoil in.
Yeah, it's starting to flatten out. Obviously, the wetlands are very level.
Are those wetlands
Yeah, no.
new or old, or were they created by 91?
I don't,
Good question.
I don't think there was any connection between 91. And I may have said this at the last meeting. I went back and looked at the old aerial photos to see what this looked like, and then go back to 34 on the Yukon site. And it was clearly all in agriculture then. 91 wasn't there, and I think it was probably mostly tobacco, because there were a lot of tobacco sheds there. I don't know when it went, I don't know when it went to the dairy that I think
There's a dairy barn there, so it was dairy and,
I think is what Mr. Leda, or maybe his father probably did, was dairy there, because there is a dairy barn there. But the area it was all in agriculture. I don't think that area, 91, had any effect on that.
no,
No, I don't think so. Not right where this is. It's a pretty good distance from
but
there.
they might have even planted with the wetlands back then. I don't know.
It was definitely farmed even in in 34.
Yeah.
Yep. It
Probably.
was, that the whole area was actually right through
Yeah.
91,
Right.
all the way down North
All the way from
Road.
Prospect Hill.
Yes,
Whole ridge.
all the way down through where the
Standard
Trolley
Community
Museum
Park,
is,
yeah.
as wet as that is in some areas, was all pretty much, there was no woods. It
Tobacco
was
don't
all
like
farmed.
wet feet, so
It was all farmed,
Yeah.
and
I don't think there was.
a lot of tobacco. There were tobacco sheds everywhere.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure
It's actually an interesting photo to look at.
Yeah.
It's much different than what you see today in some instances. It's hard to tell where you are, because although many of the roads are there, none of the buildings are there.
There was more clear land then than there is now.
Yes, much more.
Yeah.
Substantially
woods
more.
and-
If it wasn't cleared back then, it was wet.
Yeah.
It was really wet. But even the stuff on the north side of North Road, like opposite where the Noble Station was, even that was cleared in 34.
And most of those fields were tiled,
Yes.
Yes.
land
In
tiled.
fact, there was a house and a barn on the north side across from Noble. There was a barn and a house there. That was
Yes.
part of a farm. I don't know whose farm it was, but the foundation's still there. The well is still there. In fact, this is just a little history. When they did the sanitary sewer down North Road, the water service from that well, which we hit coming under North Road, I think went to that old house on the corner, right in the V of Winkler.
Winkler House,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Yep, there was a pipe there, a water pipe that came across under the road that came from that well. The well's still there. It's got a big concrete cover over the top of it, but the house is, obviously the house and the buildings are gone. But there were no trees anywhere, all the way up North Road. It was all clear.
Joe Leda owned that land at one time.
He did.
Did own that?
all that meadow back in there. I don't know that far over to 140, but down and back off of Prospect Hill where that office building is,
Yep,
he owned all that.
he owned all that too.
Yep.
Well, no, that makes sense now, you say that, because I think he
The other
owned
side of
the
91.
Pleasant Street and all the way on the other side of Pleasant
Yeah,
Street,
yeah.
right? Because
They own a big piece
that.
down there by
Yes.
the trolley generating plant too.
Yeah, and he owned all the way over to where the
Yeah.
substation is now, I think,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
Eversource's substation is.
Yeah.
Cause I've got some old mapping that's got his name on it.
Big piece of land.
Yeah, it was.
Big
It was a big-
character, I'll tell you.
It was a big farm. In fact, I don't know, I guess I'll share it with all of you eventually. When we were working on the stuff at the Trolley Museum, I was trying to find the original plans for the trolley, which go back to right around 1900. I don't remember the date. And we couldn't find them. I found them in Ellington, but they didn't have the stuff in East Windsor. So finally Lee was over at the town hall and she just started, there was a whole bunch of plans rolled up that I don't know if they were in the basement, I don't know where they came. And she just started going through them and she found them. And so I've got the whole set from the bridge in Warehouse Point, which it shows a toll house right at the bridge. There was a hotel right there in the corner. The firehouse was a distillery. And it shows the whole thing coming up Bridge Street. Comes up over the hill and then obviously turns and right where the Trolley Museum is and goes off through the woods, goes over the Scannick River. Goes up through Broadbrook and it's got all the old names on it and buildings. It's a very interesting piece of history to look at.
That's cool.
And I've got the whole set. I was gonna give one to the Trolley Museum. I'll share one with,
Once
You know,
you, once you go to the
place
historical
water
society.
lines There were wooden water pipes
yes. Yep.
still being used.
One of the interesting things, because you can still see it today, where the trolley turned up in Broadbrook. Part of it went up Depot Street, but the other part went straight down Main Street. And then it turned and went up Broadbrook Road, up 191, up towards Holden's, towards Herb Holden's.
Went up to Melrose.
Correct, exactly.
Went
And
over.
it cut over through the woods there and went up into Melrose. But one of the interesting things on it is when you go through Broadbrook today and you look up at the roofs, there's a house there with a slate roof that says Sloan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that house is on those maps and their name is on there. I know JT Sloan or
He
something.
was a tobacco dealer,
Was it?
bought tobacco, packed tobacco.
Yeah, so I mean, there's just a lot of interesting history to go and look through all the old names and there's stuff there that you can recognize from today, most of it not, but
Did it actually work Depot? No.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I believe it did.
The remnants for the trestle there is right side of the, between the
I think it
dam
went
and
up to the
highway
railroad,
bridge.
went to the railroad
I
track,
didn't think it connected.
and there was a station up there, it was a railroad station.
Up by where Kelly Fredette was.
And I took my GPS out and out into the woods and I found the old park. Remember the
Oh,
old, the
Piney Ridge?
Piney Ridge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like all the abutments are still there.
There's a lot of pictures of that, but I never could figure out exactly where it was.
Yeah, I
It's
found it.
just before it drops down to the Scannick on the
Is it?
left-hand side if you're walking in from Wells.
I don't know, it's very interesting to go through and read.
Babe Ruth played in there.
I didn't think it connected.
Really?
In an exhibition game, yeah.
I do have actually two questions.
Yeah,
Then we can
wait,
get back to
Yeah,
you.
we'll sit on track.
So, I was just curious, we've from a number of sources, we all agree that the Connecticut River backs up through the Blue Ditch, and that's what causes the flooding of the Blue Ditch. So I'm just wondering, like, in that scenario, when the north is all melting out and Connecticut River floods and it's full, and we get a storm, a local heavy storm, would these retention basins hold everything that would be produced by that storm, or how big of a storm would all these hold if the water could not escape through that, through any part of the Blue Ditch?
Yeah, so the 100-year flood elevation, according to FEMA mapping, is at elevation 34, which is this contour here. Which I can note approximate 100-year flood elevation, 34.0. So it's the flood waters actually come up just past the wetland line here. So they don't actually come up. Doesn't impact our basin is up above. Our site is up above the flood zone. So this site will still hold the water, but as far as it draining out, if the outlet is submerged, then it's gonna wait for the.
And that's my
for
point.
it
If
to
it's,
resolve.
if the outlet's submerged, the water can't drain, how much
So the.
of a, how
the-
much could
the
water
basement
could this
volume
like hold?
itself, I believe, is it designed for the 100-year or the 50-year storm?
100-year.
100-year storm, so it'll hold an entire 100-year storm event. So if we had a 100-year rainstorm
In
following
conjunction
the
with that?
spring flood, when the Connecticut River is backed up, the water would sit in the basin.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was hoping. And then I have another question. And I've seen this myself, and there was a complaint from the existing house, that Lawrence Peterson, the third house there.
Yeah,
So
this
the
one.
water now during a rainstorm comes out of that field and goes across right at the corner of the property line and crosses these people's driveway and then continues down and exits into the blue ditch.
Right.
So, and I think a lot of that is because this has been, it's typically plowed up and there's not a lot of root matter, vegetation here to keep
Right.
it from going there. So I'm just wondering, it doesn't look like we're changing the elevation here much from the existing. So what do you think? Do you think that situation still will exist? Or do you think because of the vegetation, there's conservation mix, and I looked at the landscape plan, there's not really anything else going there except for grass. Do you think that will keep that runoff, that storm runoff, either?
It's in row crop now. I mean, I think it comes, if I remember correctly, almost up, the fence runs right along the east side of their lot. So it'll go from a row crop to a fully vegetated
Yeah.
So
condition.
the runoff would
which
be at least clear rather than carry
will-
topsoil.
It will help it to some extent, and I think eventually it'll revert to scrub back to woods. If it isn't mowed on a regular basis, and I'm not sure that we really want to mow it, to be honest. I think maybe we want it to revert back.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
that anything in between that access road
Yep.
and the property line should just let it go.
Let it grow.
And then same thing between the Philbrook house and
Yep,
the walking trail.
yep,
And I think that would,
yep, and that'll all
Completely solve
seed it
that.
in the conservation mix. The areas that are disturbed that have been in row crop are all gonna be reseeded, including the wetland areas. And I think it'll be an improvement over what it is today in terms of runoff.
Yeah, I agree. I think the runoff curve number for the agricultural fields is much higher than the curve number for a vegetated meadow. The emergency access driveway itself is more impervious, but because we don't have curbs where we're collecting it and concentrating it, we're just letting it sheet off into that vegetated area. It's considered to be a disconnected impervious surface.
Right.
And so when you disconnect impervious surfaces, they're essentially, it mitigates the impacts of them.
did
So-
you happen to know offhand, basically like ballpark, what the difference between the runoff of row crop and the vegetated, like a lawn would be like?
It depends on the soil types, so I believe this area, this was part of the A soils here, the Windsor sands. In which case doesn't have a lot of runoff from it, so I think it's the curve number for an agricultural field is around 70. For the meadows, it would be around 60. And for the gravel, there would be around 90. So, but again, because of the disconnecting of the impervious, that's mitigated because it's got this buffer that it's got to flow through before it gets there.
Okay, yeah, no, I think I think the plan is excellent as far as improving the current situation. I was just worried about that because I've seen that happen where it's a stream. I actually have video of it coming down the street and just full of silt. And
Yeah, I wouldn't want to represent that it's going to eliminate all flow. I mean, we're keeping the patterns the same, which is what generally we're directed to do, is to not redirect water. I understand their concern with water coming across their driveway, but that's the way the land is laid, so that's what it wants to do. But I think what we're doing is going to make it better.
Did they typically have a cover crop on that field? You remember?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Usually.
it gets in there late sometimes, it's not always full, so yeah, I don't, I think that if it were all graded nice and seeded, eventually, and like I said, if you let this build up here, I think that's gonna slow the water down. I mean, it'll scour their driveway, that's the volume of water that's going across. And what I'm mostly concerned with, and besides, if they tried to improve their driveway and it kept on getting wiped out, they'd probably be annoyed. But is the amount of soil that is getting pulled down into that culvert, which, as you know, top of it is showing, the rest of it's filled up. So, I wouldn't want you to put this brand new one in and then have that filled up too, so.
That's the last house on the end of Spring Street.
It's this one here, that comes out right here.
Well, yeah, well, look at the contour lines, it shows it going right across the drive.
Yeah, this guy's fine, he's high and dry over here.
It's over here.
Yeah, it comes off the corner of the field and comes
Oh,
right
I
across,
see.
right across.
Yep, right there,
Oh, yeah.
right on the corner.
But I do think that this, not being bare dirt or row crop will probably,
You just get
It's
water.
gotta-
Certainly over time it
You're
will.
gonna get water though.
yeah, it does bring the water. So, I mean, you may think about that though, I know that some of this is treed in here and that's good, but like, I would encourage more shrubbery there in that corner. But that's it, that's all I got.
Anybody else? Danielle, anything from?
The only thing I would like to do is question one point that you made. If the water is higher coming out of that basin, whether the rivers at flood or not, if the outlet is submerged, hydraulically, the water is still gonna come out at a slower rate out. It's not gonna stop it completely, it's just gonna slow it up. Because if it's higher, it's gonna go out, and it's gonna go to the river.
Correct. It's
So
pushing
you're
its way
really,
out.
it's not gonna stop that pipe completely, and the minute it goes down. The water flow will flush anything that got into the pipe right back out again.
It's actually going into the other side of the pipe, but yeah.
Well, that's the ideal, that's the beauty part, that should be the downhill side.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's got it right.
we could have discharged it right into the ditch right on our property, but so.
And that's how you kind of had it before,
Yeah, you did,
and yeah, this is way better.
it's
I think
much
it's
better.
We're trying to be sensitive to what the concerns of them.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
You guys good? You, anything else you want to put in?
Any final words?
Think we have anything at this point?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jennifer?
I got it, okay, ready?
Yeah, you're good to go.
I'm not going
I don't know where it
up.
went.
Okay, motion to approve application 11-2025 with standard condition. IWWA 11-2025 for 27 Bridge Street. Construction of a stormwater basin for mixed-use development, multifamily and commercial, located partially in regulated wetlands and upland review area. Owner applicant estate of Joseph Lader Jr., NRT Realty LLC, Robert Trigg, map lot 111-12-009, plan reference, River Point, 127 Bridge Street, East Windsor, Connecticut, 06088, prepared for NRT Realty LLC, 86 Anvil Drive, Avon, Connecticut, 06001, prepared by J.R. Russo and Associates, map 111, lot 12, lot 009, zone PCD, dated May 27th, 2025, revised August 6th, 2025, pages 1 through 24, plus 5 additional pages of notes. Got it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Who seconded?
Thank you very much.
Osborne. Anything else from the board? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Go home.
Have a lovely night.
Thank you.
Alan,
When are you gonna be at
what time is it?
P and Z?
7:45.
September 9th.
Yeah.
Did you second the adjournment?
Hmm?
You
Be there.
seconded the
Have the
Who
same-
seconded the adjournment? He motioned the adjournment, didn't
Oh, Dick.
he? Okay.
Did you want those?
Mm,
You know, why don't you could use a garden home, somewhere a garden home.
yeah.
Need a Masons do that?
All in favor? Okay, special helper.
All right.
Wonderful. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Luke, Connecticut, Little League, right?
Right where the.
Sure.
Watch it, right?
Where the dam?
Oh, that's tonight?
No,
They already